South Carolina and what you see on film from their defense?
Very good football team. They sort of remind you of Ole Miss a lot with the big defensive end, very good defensive line. Everyone knows about Norwood. He's their explosive playmaker on defense. But, if you look at their defensive ends, they're probably just as big, if not bigger, than Ole Miss is. They have a guy who's 6'8", 280. So it's, one of those types of games where it's going to be, trying to hit them in the mouth and try to, do the old Coach Saban saying, sort of dominate the line of scrimmage, and then from there work your scheme. They have a very young secondary, which is, a good thing, but at the same time it also shows that those guys are great athletes if they beat out older people. So, South Carolina's have a tremendous defense, and it's just, how do you execute and how do you prepare and how do you play the game? And, we're looking forward to being able to do that on Saturday.
You know how you've done as a receiver, but from a blocking standpoint, how would you kind of rate where you're at in that part?
Well, I think I've been doing, at least with myself, a good job. It's been tough this last week just because, I did dislocate a finger, and I like to grab. That's a big thing with, offensive linemen or any people who like to block. If you block with your hands, you have a better job of driving someone off the ball and sustaining a block. That's been something that you sort of just have to learn how to play with. It's something that I think all football players in general have to deal with injuries, nicks, and how to sort of change your style of play. But, I've been proud of the way I've been blocking. The way I see it is you have to prove yourself as a blocker in order to get passes thrown your way. So as long as you just keep grinding out and blocking hard, and, especially with the attention Mark Ingram and a running back skid, I think that's also a testament to their O-line, as well as the tight ends who are within the mix of blocking. So in that instance, I think I'm proud to be a part of that.
I think they have a tight end from Bowles, don't they?
Yeah, they do. He was my backup when I was there. I'm best friends with his family. His name is Mikey Triglia. He's a very, very good tight end. Hopefully he'll get to play. I always like seeing Bowles guys play. But, I'm really close with his family. And I think there's another Bowles player there named Bradley Terry. He's a walk-on linebacker. But, you got to love it, Bowles players.
Colin, how do you think the team's dealing with the attention? And, you guys number 2 in the country now, or some people say Alabama might be the best team in the country. What do you think about dealing with that?
The funny thing is, we really don't think about that a lot. It's one of the things that it's funny because when I was at Georgia Tech, you were sort of like trying to figure out, trying to get back at it, trying to get yourself in the top 25, hopefully get in the top 15. And here's one of those things where we really don't worry about the ranking. It's one of those situations where it's if we win all our games, that's what handles the job. And I know a lot of people talk a lot about, who's better, Florida or Alabama, or Florida, Alabama, and Texas. But for us, I think it's just, like I said, a testament to Coach Saban, where he really doesn't allow you to think that way. It becomes an aspect of every day is just the same routine. It's can you, stay within the grind of football itself and the weekly schedule in order to have a chance to be able to highlight yourself on Saturday. And it becomes where each week is the biggest game. So you can't look beyond that or look at where you're standing at now, because if you do, then you lose, track of where you're trying to go towards. And you could be number 2 now, but if you lose a game, you're number 25, the next week. It's just how Ole Miss was number 4, lost a game, and they're 23 the next week. So, everything's dependent upon you winning. And I think that's what we understand. And our whole thing is, I guess the goals that we set up is trying to get back to an SEC championship, and that involves us taking care of these games. And I think that's the main focus. It's not about our ranking. It's just trying to get back there so we can start to achieve the goals that we sort of not able to capitalize upon last year.
South Carolina has that hybrid linebacker safety position. Is it going to be a little tougher for you to contribute in the passing game when you're probably not going to have like a true linebacker on you?
That's a funny thing. I really don't know. It's like I said, a testament to Coach McWayne. He's formulated a tremendous game plan. It's going to be one of those situations where it's always going to be teams always going to try something different against us, and I think that's the biggest thing that's happened this entire year is you come into a game with a game plan, and teams are always going to break their tendencies against Alabama. They're going to try to stop our run by bringing tons of people in the box. They think that they can frustrate Greg McElroy by trying different coverages. So you really have to be prepared for just about anything thrown your way. And I'd say by the end of the first quarter, we sort of understand of what a team's trying to do, and I think that allows other players I myself or Julio or Mays or anyone, even our running backs out of the backfield, being able to figure out where the weak spots are and the holes are going to be in that defense. Like I said, with that type of hybrid player that they do have, you just see him as another player on the field. You really don't think about his type of skills because you have to worry about how you're going to play it. And, each team in the SEC is going to have tremendous players athletically and mentally. They're probably the toughest players, I believe, in the country. And it's just how do you carry your game plan out and just executing. I think in the end, if that's what we do, we'll be able to come out with a victory.
Anything else, guys?
A couple in Alabama recently named one of their sons Saban after coach. What's your reaction to that?
I guess Coach Saban's ridiculously. I guess it's funny because when I came here, I really didn't have a stand for Alabama. I'd really never been to Alabama. I knew my grandfather played here, but it wasn't like I went to Alabama games. When I first got here, you see just the enthusiasm that the people have for this city, this team, this state. It's something that they, I think, hold on a pedestal, and that way I think it's an awesome thing. I don't know how Coach Saban's taken. I'm sure he probably loves it, but at the same time, it's I guess it's a free country, so you can name your son. I'm guessing a son, right? Yeah. I'm about to say you don't want to name your daughter Saban, but I'm sure that he loves it. It's one of those things where, if you're a big fan, I'm sure back home in Florida, when Gators doing great, people were naming their son Spurrier or something like that. So it's one of those things where it's good for them, I guess.
What do you think,
Growing up in Florida, are you kind of excited to be playing Spurrier?
It's funny. It's just one of those things. My dad and Coach Spurrier are actually very good friends. So in that instance, it's one of those things where I really haven't thought about it until just right now when I said that. Because growing up my entire life is, I saw Steve Spurrier as head coach of Florida. And it's kind of funny that he's head coach of South Carolina. But, I'm just looking forward to playing. Once you miss a year, you're just fortunate for every game that you get. So for me, it's just another game. It's another opportunity to hopefully go out there and try to prove yourself as one of the best tight ends in the nation and prove ourselves as hopefully the best team in the country.
You said your dad's a pretty big Florida guy, right?
Well, my whole family went to Florida. It's funny because all I do is get texts from Florida people just trying to be like, hopefully we'll see you in the SEC championship. And I try to tell people, it's just about a weekly grind, and we try not to look forward to that too much. That's something you set your goal for, but at the same time, you just it's about each game. And right now, it's South Carolina, and there's nothing where it's it makes it bigger because my dad knows Steve Spurrier. It's just one of those things where I guess after the game, I'll walk up and say hello.